Keiko's Diary.
Welcome to the Keiko's Diary podcast, where I get up close and personal with creatives to uncover the people behind the art. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in today's guest, the one and only Katie Leigh.
Hi. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is such a pleasure having you on the show, Katie. You are such a veteran of the voiceover business with dozens of beloved roles under your belt. I mean, just a few of which include Alex for the first 2 seasons of Totally Spies, Sailor Ironmouse in Sailor Moon, Sailor Stars. You also voiced Sojourner, Questy, Sandpiper, and Crow in the adorable Space Racer series.
Most people don't mention that show.
Oh my goodness. I caught it several, early in the morning a few years ago, and I just thought it was so sweet. And it was just amazing how, I mean, you're all over these classic shows. You even voiced Usapyon in Yokai Watch, and even provided some voices for Despicable Me, and as well as the Prince in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Some other big cartoons too, like Muppet Babies and Darkwing Duck and Gummi Bears. Yeah.
It's amazing. So was this the plan? I mean, to become the voice acting queen you are today?
No. The plan is to, get paid.
Exactly. Yes, at the end of the day. Now, could you just tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to where you are today?
I grew up in Los Angeles, where obviously the entertainment industry is, although I didn't have any plans to be a part of it. When I got out of high school, people started telling me that I sounded younger than I was. And so they kind of gave me that idea. And so I thought, well, maybe I could do some voiceover work to make extra money, right? While I'm in college or whatever. And I ended up getting a demo. I was in San Francisco living. I made a demo with I was just telling on my podcast, the Tell You Later show, to somebody else that we just did that right before this interview. That Lucille Bliss, who was Smurfette, lived in San Francisco, and she made my first demo. And I got a little job up in the city that allowed me to join the Screen Actors Guild. And when I graduated with my broadcasting degree, because I thought I wanted to be a producer, I thought, well, maybe I should give this voiceover thing a try. And they said, well, you got to go back to LA, because that's where all the animation is, and that's what your voice is more suited for. So I thought, well, I'll give it 2 years and see what happens. And the rest is history. I got it at an agent. I was in the right place at the right time. There was a lot of stuff being done back then, and they needed women to play kids. So that's what I did.
Well, I'm so glad that you took that chance and gave that 2 years a try, because it was your calling in life. I mean, you have inspired so many people, and just even you yourself. I mean, what a wonderful thing to do. It's time for us to do one of my favorite segments of the show, which is called the 60-second 411. Are you ready for this?
I'm going to get ejected. I'm probably not going to do this very well, but okay.
Favorite color?
Red.
Favorite movie?
Parent Trap.
Favorite song?
Hey, you're adorable.
Favorite game?
Scrabble.
Greatest fear?
Answering questions.
Hot or cold weather?
Hot.
Night owl or morning bird?
Both.
Favorite singer?
Linda Ronstadt.
Favorite food?
Popcorn.
Favorite holiday?
Easter.
Biggest pet peeve?
Yeah, that the Metro Rail doesn't go to the LA airport.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Sleeping.
Favorite Spice Girl?
Sporty.
Favorite subject in school?
English.
You did it! Oh my goodness, Katie, you won!
Yay!
Let's give you a hand.
I don't know the Spice Girls. That's the only one I know.
Hey, all you gotta know is one.
Okay, good.
What a champ. I think you've got the best time of the season so far.
No fooling.
Yeah.
All right. Yay. See? That's good. Those are improv skills. That's the only acting training I've ever had. Pretty much. So
That is so amazing. What a natural talent you are then.
I think you are too.
Oh, well, thank you.
The spotlight.
We can't do this without talking a moment about one of your most iconic roles, which is Alex from Totally Spies. This show, as you know, has a massive following and is really more famous now than it ever was. It's even coming back with another season soon. So,
Wow.
yeah, I myself hunted down all the DVDs I can get my hands on. I've got some with me right now in front of me.
Do you have the CD-ROM? I have a copy of the CD-ROMs.
I do. Yes, totally. No pun intended. I totally have.
Do you totally have them?
Totally.
That's awesome. How cool is that?
I know, right? I just think that what makes the show so timeless is the animation, the style, and just the whole chemistry among the three spies. It's totally infectious. And
It's
so
unique.
I would just like you to talk with us a little bit about when you first got the role of Alex and what your initial impression was of this kind of show.
We didn't know what it was going to look like, really, until after we, recorded the track. So I was amazed because it was just so different. It wasn't quite anime. It wasn't your traditional animation. And I love the fact that it was featuring women in the cast, that we were the leads, which was not that common back then, so that was pretty awesome. All their gadgets and things it was just really fun. I mean, it was pretty funny. It's like, okay, who's the bad guy this week? Who wants to take over the world? How are they going to do it? How are we going to thwart them? But, it was fun. And I had a lot going on in my life at that time, so it was a great way for me to exercise my demons, to get my anger and stuff out, because we had to punch and kick and do all kinds of things in every episode, so that was very cathartic.
Exactly. That's one of the good things about acting and voiceover in particular is, it's really good for venting emotions and kind of jumping into someone else's self for a day.
And that's where I really got to know Jess Harnell, and he became a really good friend. So it was nice having him on the show. And then I eventually got him on another show that I'm on. It's what you guys would call now a scripted podcast, but it was just a radio show I've been doing for 36 years now, called Adventures in Odyssey, and I got Jess on that show, so we still get to work together.
Oh, that's always great when you get to work with people who you have mutual respect for as a talent, but you're also friends. So that's wonderful. Your name has been attached to so many major properties, and that includes Sailor Moon. You were the voice of Sailor Ironmouse.
Well, I always wanted to be a part of it. It is legendary, and some of my friends, I have a good friend who is Sailor Moon, I think, but in Portuguese, in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
And so she's been doing that forever, and that's really cool. And then when this came up, they had auditions actually in that season was never dubbed in English.
Exactly.
I think they waited like 20 years or something, and the part I auditioned for were these three singers. There were singers in the show, but when
Starlights,
But when I went to the studio, I'm like, okay, who am I playing? And they said, oh, you're not any of them. You're this other one. We had an audition, or we had a tape of you from a long time ago. We heard it, and we think you would be perfect for her. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, she's a bad guy. She's a bad guy. She kills people. It was very interesting because I didn't even audition for that.
That's amazing. Well, that's funny how it worked out. And it's like you said, this season was never dubbed when it was done the first time around. So you're the OG Sailor Ironmouse. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, I am. Yeah, and she changes. She masquerades as all kinds of different people, and then when she goes to off them, she looks like herself.
Earlier in your career, as you were mentioning, Muppet Babies. That was one of your earlier projects.
Yeah, I did Rowlf the dog's voice.
Rowlf the dog! Oh my goodness, thank you for that. That was, oh my goodness, such a treat. Just that little snippet. And the show was a major success, and it even won 7 daytime Emmy Awards. That's amazing. So could you just tell us what was your overall experience like getting involved in this classic franchise and voicing alongside people like Howie Mandel, Frank Welker, and even Dave Coulier?
Well, I'd already been working with Frank on Dungeons & Dragons before we did Muppet, and the same director from Dungeons & Dragons directed Muppet Babies. And I'm a huge Muppet fan, just huge.
Me too.
Huge Jim Henson fan. And our director, Hank Soroyan, was having lunch at a restaurant. And I happened to bump into him, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And, he goes, he goes, "Can you do Baby Piggy's voice?" And I said, "No, Piggy's a girl. A man does Piggy." I don't think so. He goes, "Well," I said, "Why?" He goes, "Well, tomorrow we're having auditions. We're doing a new show called Muppet Babies." And I was like, "What?" And he says, "We're having auditions tomorrow, but we'll bring you in on the callbacks." And this is the only time in my life I told my agent, "They're having auditions tomorrow. I want to be there." I went to Blockbuster. I rented a Muppet movie. I watched it, and I said, "Oh, I think I can do Rowlf's voice. That's who I want to be." And I used to watch Rowlf when I was a little girl. Black and white. He was on the Jimmy Dean show. So I actually knew that character. It was like in my, my memory vault. And sure enough, I got to go the next day. I auditioned, and so thankful I won the part. And my director said, "You're one of the few people who even knew who Rowlf was." And I'm like, "Well, sometimes you just connect with the character." And I was so happy. And then Jim Henson flew out for our first recording session, and I was so nervous because he's the voice of Rowlf. And I'd say, "You read it first." Really, like one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. Yeah, play the piano.
With a career as decorated as yours, I'm just curious, what has been your favorite moment of your career so far?
Really, when I got the phone call that I booked the Muppet Babies.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'll never forget that. I was in labor with my daughter when I recorded some radio commercials with Pam Adlon. That was an interesting experience. We were supposed to record 6 commercials, and we both were playing boys. We got through 3, and I said, "I think I gotta go give birth. I have to go." That was an interesting day. I play Connie Kendall on Adventures in Odyssey, and like I said, I've been playing her for 36 years. And you don't really know your audience until they grow up, right? Even with the cartoons, right? When you were little, I don't know how old you are, but you weren't talking to people then. You were watching, right? So we don't know who's watching us, but as people have grown, there are a lot of young men, I would say, like between 25 and 35, 20 and 35. And when they meet me, because it's a radio program, they don't see me, it's just the most amazing thing to watch their faces. Because when audio is very intimate, and when people, listen before they go to sleep at night, you just kind of get to know those voices, like your favorite DJ or somebody you've been, listening to. I'm sure people think they know you from listening to you. So when they meet me, they get this look on their face like they all turn red, and they want to give me a hug, and they don't care that I'm as old as I am, because my character's probably about 20 or 22 in the show. She started out 15. I don't think she's older than 22 now, and it's been 36 years. So. But it's so neat to have those experiences when I meet fans face to face, and they just get all excited. That's the highlight of my career, is meeting the people who enjoy the stuff that I've done.
Have you ever?
Okay, so first question, Katie. Have you ever gone skydiving?
No.
No, me neither. Don't plan on it. Have you ever touched a snake?
Oh, yeah, lots of times. As a matter of fact, I saw a snake have a heart attack once. A little baby snake bit my friend on the finger and died, hanging on his finger.
What in the world?
Yeah, I got scared, I guess. We were at a pet store, and the snake went, I guess it was hanging. It was a little snake, only about this long, and it died.
Oh, my goodness. Have you ever broken your phone?
I've had to replace it. So it must have been broken, or I lost it. No, I didn't lose it. I don't remember.
It's a mystery. It remains a mystery.
It remains a mystery, yes. Okay.
Next question. Have you ever been betrayed?
I certainly have.
Oh, that's terrible.
I certainly have. I was betrayed before I knew I was betrayed. And I was actually at a applied kinesiology appointment. You can look it up. And they feel things in your body, and they look up words. And the lady said to me, "Does the word betrayed mean anything to you?" And I said, "No, I don't think so." But a couple of weeks later, I found out what it meant.
Have you ever cried in public?
Oh, of course. And I've cried at work, and I've cried in private. And yeah, I cry. I'll probably cry talking to you if you remind me of something. It'll make me cry. As I get older, I cry much more easily than I did when I was younger.
I think that's kind of true. Some people think it's backwards, but I think in a way it is like that.
But as you get older, you have all these experiences, and all your emotions just sit right here, and they're much more accessible when you get older.
Right, which lends to your acting ability, no doubt. Have you ever broken any bones?
I think I fractured. Yes. Oh, yeah. I think I fractured my wrist when I was a kid. I don't know if that counts as breaking, but I broke my little toe on a hammock in my backyard, a really heavy framed hammock, and I was walking really fast because I do that, and I hit my foot on the metal and broke my little toe, and I was screaming and it hurt. My husband came out. He says, "What are you yelling about?" I'm like, I think I broke my toe. And he's like, "Ah." And he looked at it, and it was sticking like straight. You know, your toe's supposed to be up. It was sticking this way. And he goes, "Oh, yes, you did. Okay, we'll go to the hospital."
Yeah.
Because I can fix it, but I think we should have them do it. So, you know, they have to like pull it up and stick it back in.
Have you ever exploded with rage?
Probably. Yeah.
Sometime or another.
All the time. I know it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. We try to have some control. I remember really losing it when I first moved to LA. Like, you know, I told you we moved to LA to do voiceover, and my checks, back then we had checks to write money, you know, checks, checkbooks, but my check, I had just opened a bank, so my checkbook was blank. I mean, it didn't have, they give you blank checks to start out.
Right.
This is like old school, okay? And I mean, maybe they still do. But my name wasn't on the check, and I wanted to buy a lamp, and the lamp store wouldn't sell it to me, and I was so upset with them. I remember really losing it, and they had to, like, I had to leave the store in tears, and I was so frustrated. Like, I have the money, why won't they take this? That was a long time ago, but that stuck with me. But yeah, I mean, I have kids, you know, you can't help getting upset sometimes, right?
Next one, this one's kind of deep. Have you ever been cheated on?
The person who cheated on me with the girl whose grandfather designed Golden Gate Park and a bridge really close to where I live right now, so I can't help thinking about it all the time.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
No, they're invisible. It's Casper.
Yeah, have you ever seen a UFO?
I don't know. Because they haven't proved that they're UFOs, right? So, I don't know. I may have seen something in the sky, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's the mystery.
That's what they should call them. I don't knows, not UFOs.
Let's get that trending right now. You just invented a new term.
Okay.
Okay, have you ever run away?
Yes, I ran away from home. I always say I was too old to do it. I was 18, but I bought a guitar because I thought that's a good thing to take if you're gonna run away. Play the guitar. And I was supposed to start a class, and instead I got in the car. I knew my friends were hitchhiking back to Santa Cruz, where I had gone to college my first year and a half. And I picked them up on the side of the freeway and drove up to Santa Cruz. I was too afraid to say I want to leave. I had to sneak out. So, you know what? I just want to encourage people. Just tell your family how you feel, and then go ahead and do what you need to do. But don't scare them.
Have you ever done something crazy?
Probably every day.
Every day, right? Love that answer.
What do you define crazy?
Have you ever tried something and regretted it?
Ski. Well, no, I don't regret it because then you learn not to do that thing. Right? So every lesson is valuable. Not every experience needs to be experienced. Let me just put that out there.
That's a good point. Yeah, true. Avoid what you can.
Be wise. You don't have to experiment on yourself.
Have you ever pulled an all-nighter?
My husband is in a KISS tribute band, so sometimes we end up staying up pretty late, driving home from gigs.
Have you ever been terrified?
Sometimes I feel terrified driving on the freeway or being a passenger in someone's car driving on the freeway. I won't name names.
Yeah, driving terrifies me too. If I have to go over 40, I'm very nervous.
Once I was terrified that something really bad would happen to my family. So that was an awful feeling.
Fan mail.
Sailor Senshi Forever wants to know, do you get recognized by your voice? So this is fun, I guess, just in your daily life.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I have been recognized twice in my life.
Wow, that's interesting.
Once by a little girl who was about 8 years old, I guess. And this was a long time ago, because let's see, my daughter's 31, so 25 years ago. Yeah, and then once at a Starbucks near Knott's Berry Farm. Yeah, and I think they kind of knew what I looked like too, but they heard me and recognized me. Yeah.
That's interesting. I hear that a lot with voice actors is a lot of the times people, they don't know exactly what the person's from, but they're just suspicious that there's a familiarity there. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and both were from Adventures in Odyssey. That's how they, because most of the other stuff doesn't sound like me, except Alex in Totally Spies. She pretty much sounds like me, but not exactly. But my other character does sound exactly like me, so that makes sense.
Okay, we've got 2 questions from Demetrius Cooper. The first question is, hey Katie, what was it like working with Andrea Baker and Jennifer Hale for the first and second seasons of Totally Spies?
Oh, it was wonderful. I hadn't known them before, and both really interesting people. It was so much fun, like I said, being a team of girls. The other show I worked on, My Little Pony, had like mainly all women, and that was a great show too. But Spies was good because we were people. You know, our characters were people, not ponies. So that was fun. And they both like horses. They have a lot in common, Jen and Andrea. So they really became closer friends than I did with them. But I was going through my betrayal time at the time of that show. So I was kind of pretty much keeping to myself, I have to say. So there was a timing thing there. But they were wonderful. And they both impressed me so much. I loved watching them work.
And again, I think that's one of the things that's so special about that show is just the group chemistry. You 3 were just so dynamic and amazing together.
We had a blast.
Second question from Demetrius. He wants to know, how come when the 3rd season of Totally Spies premiered on Cartoon Network, Katie Griffin took over as Alex?
Because they decided, okay, first we were on ABC Family Channel. Then I think it was Disney. I don't know. They sold the show to Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network aired it, and then all of a sudden it became popular. And Cartoon Network decided they wanted to use Canadian actors to save money.
Gotcha.
So that's what happened. They didn't say a word to us. But Andrea, so Jennifer's Canadian. And Andrea also, I think her mother's was from Scotland or something. Somehow Andrea got to be on it. I don't know. They just did that. They replaced Jess as well and didn't really tell us anything. But it was produced a whole different way with a different group of people, and it was partly to save money. They did it with My Little Pony too. They took it to Canada.
Okay, Winx Club 1313 wants to know, if you weren't voice acting, what would you be doing? Oh, that's interesting.
Laundry.
Laundry? Is there another job you'd want to do if you...
Well, I am a teacher too.
Oh, wow.
And I've been a substitute teacher. I like producing. You know, I would probably be on the other end of production, somehow doing something. I don't know what. It worked out that I could do voiceover, so I just stuck to this lane. Well, if I weren't voicing, I love directing, and I have directed some stuff. So I do some coaching and teaching online as well. I really like directing.
The Deep Dive.
If a genie could grant you 3 wishes, what would they be?
Oh, that I wouldn't have to worry about money the rest of my life. That my brother would get well.
Oh, yes.
And just that my children would all be happy and have joyful lives.
Are you afraid of death?
No.
No? Oh, I love it. Okay.
No, I mean, I'm a believer, and I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus, and I just feel like I don't have anything to be afraid of.
What is your biggest regret?
Selling my house in Hermosa Beach. It's just after I sold it, it appeared in the street I was on, appeared in Los Angeles Magazine as one of the 10 best streets in LA County. And I replaced a floor in another house. I spent all this money on hardwood floor, and the people who bought the house tore it all up. Like, that was a stupid waste of money. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It's interesting. Both of them have to do with housing. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. What is your earliest memory of life?
I kind of remember as a little girl, and I must not have been older than 4, climbing up on my kitchen counter to get a jar of peanut butter. Yeah, I remember that. I remember, I have a couple memories of this one house we lived at when I was that age. And I remember also playing in the closet, the bedroom closet, with my sister. We were on a ship.
I was just wondering, because we have listeners who are working on their own craft. Since you've been so successful in pursuing your own dreams and making them come true, what does being creative mean to you? How has it impacted your life and career? And what advice would you give to others on their own creative journeys?
Rule of improv, right? One of the first rules of improv is yes and. Don't say no. Build on it.
Keep it
yes,
going.
And. Don't just reject things. Like, be creative. Allow yourself to think outside the box. Don't be afraid. Don't judge yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing. We're our own worst critics. But I think being creative has to do with having fun. So give yourself permission to have fun. And I think when you're having fun, nice surprises happen. I like to cook, and I'll be creative in the kitchen. You know, I think there's lots of ways to be creative. I crochet. That's creative. I think God made us to be creative. So, you know, to think that there's only one right way to do something is very, very psychologically harmful, I think. It's not good. So, you know, just know there's more than one way to do stuff. And that, I think, gives you the freedom to be creative. And I think it is important. And like I said, maybe has it impacted me in my life and my career? Yeah, I guess so, because we have to create things, especially in voiceover, in our heads. It's such a heady job, you know. When you audition, everything is imaginary, right? We don't see the cartoons unless we're dubbing in anime. I did create another word, by the way, Keiko, voicinalities, because they're not just voices. They're married, they have personality, so they're voicinalities that we create. I'm like the kind of person who like really digs getting something from IKEA to put it together. I like making something out of nothing, and that's kind of what voiceover is. I'm gonna get philosophical on you. We create every single moment of our lives, and I don't mean like in the Shirley MacLaine kind of way. I mean by how we talk to people. We can create something good with somebody else. We can, you know, every moment we have with somebody is an opportunity to create something positive. Being creative is being powerful. We have that in our hands and in our mouths and in our attitudes every day. So my advice to those embarking on their own creative journeys, my prayers are usually not, God, open the doors for me. My prayer is usually, God, I'm heading in this direction. If I'm not supposed to go there, close the door. Like my toe, it will take a right turn. But, that's okay too. We don't know. We head out in life. It's one day at a time. It's one foot in front of the other. And then you meet people, and then that could take you somewhere else. If you don't allow yourself to be on your journey, you'll never find that aha. And when things don't go the way we want, sometimes those are things we can be thankful for down the line.
I would like to give you the floor to tell the viewers about any upcoming projects you're working on, or just anything else you'd like to share before we sign off.
Well, I have this show called Tell You Later. It's on, you can see it on YouTube, but also it's Patreon supported. And there's a lot of extra stuff that the patrons get. I started it with my friend Will Ryan a couple years ago, and unfortunately he passed away about 9 months into our project, but we've continued to do it. It's kind of like what you do, talking to people and goofing off. And there is popcorn involved. And I have a website, so if they want to sign up for my newsletter, if I do classes or I'm going somewhere, they'll find out where I am by getting the newsletter. I try to keep that current. I'm on Instagram, Katie Leigh VO, and on Facebook. I do a lot of educational stuff, so a lot of people they do recognize me, not out in the wild, but they recognize my voice from some e-learning stuff, some homeschool curriculum and some other things. If they go to Epcot Center, to the Guardians of the Galaxy ride there, the new one, I am the voice of World Mind, who's the Q for the ride. So I say something like, welcome, Terrans. I'm working on a show called Rey Mysterio, which is a cartoon from Mexico about wrestlers. I'm going to do an unboxing for some Dungeons and Dragons toys. There's new movies coming out, and they're going to come out with a new Hasbro action figure of Sheila, who was my character. I'm Katie Leigh, and for MLA Entertainment, keep being creative!
Hey, you. You can help support the Keiko's Diary podcast by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. Sounds like you're pretty powerful. Thank you for listening, and keep being creative.